Hello, everybody. My name is Kinrock. Sorry if I sound a little funny. I'm a bit sick. That's why I haven't been posting as much recently. I do plan on getting back into it. We are almost to 100 subscribers. To a lot of people, that probably doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, it's definitely a lot bigger than what I usually am, and it's something I definitely appreciate. So, to those who are subscribed to me, thank you very much. Today, as you can tell by the video title, we are going to be discussing Noodles' new video on kakuzu versus pain. So, not to make this too longer than it needs to, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Back again with a new video, which has been fated to appear on my channel since forever. Seriously, I don't know why I haven't did this video yet. Firstly, before we get into the video, I want to actually talk about the ridiculousness
Of course,
that has been achieved from this.
Let's let that load up. Of course, I'm not doing well, so my internet doesn't do well. That's just how that goes. Okay, we should be good now.
Topic. I've been in the fictional debate community going on 5 years.
Nope, still no good.
Years now, and this topic, which started as a meme between me and my old buddy Webcam Parrot, ended up creating the biggest stir in the history of the Naruto debate community. Both me and Parrot actually ended up getting to debate Swag Kage, which is literally the biggest Naruto power scaler on YouTube, in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and I got to become known as the kakuzu guy. Quite literally, every time somebody brings up kakuzu, both me and Parrot's name is thrown into the conversation. History aside, I did briefly cover kakuzu versus pain in my Akatsuki ranking video I posted a long time ago, but I left out tons of major arguments. So in this video, I plan to cover every single argument that I've ever heard on both sides of kakuzu versus pain, or at least the ones I can remember. Anyway, though, without further ado, let's...
What do you mean ones you can remember? You've been setting this up for like a few months now, like you admitted. So you should have had plenty of times to go over all your old debates and all that to get all of them. Anyway.
Let's jump right into it. I'm going to be splitting each of these characters up, first talking about the capabilities of pain, followed by kakuzu, and I will categorize each of their abilities into strength, durability, speed, hacks, or skill, and any other ability that can potentially play a factor in this fight. So to begin, we're going to be talking about pain's strength and attack potency. So to keep it brief, we already know all of the major physical attacks that Pain has been shown capable of. Firstly, he's able to consistently swap hands with base Pain Art Naruto, and the Ashura path was shown capable of piercing Kakashi. This blade also appeared to show even...
That's impressive, but he was also shown being able to rip off Jiraiya's arm. I don't know why you're going to Kakashi. There's a more impressive feat there.
more piercing power than the Shinra Tensei or Almighty Push that was fired at Kakashi earlier in the fight. It's also worth to note that the Shinra Tensei was eventually able to subdue Kakashi as well. This is impressive because Kakashi is a character that was capable of withstanding blows from Kakashi.
It was also able to take out the Six Tails. He was also able to penetrate the Six Tails V2 cloak with the rods with absolutely no difficulty. I know you say you don't use the anime, but as we're going to see later, there's things that you use specifically in the anime, so that's not really an excuse for this one.
Kakuzu, albeit not well, but withstood nonetheless. So this could mean that both the Ashura path and the Shinra Tensei possess similar strength to Kakuzu's Taijutsu, which we have seen capable of momentarily blocking a paw strike from the Biju avatar of Yugito.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be his Taijutsu. And, no, he got slammed into the ground. And more likely he used Diamond Morph, which is a hacks-based ninjutsu, but we'll get into that later.
Another impressive aspect of this feat is the fact that it was shown capable of obliterating Kakashi's mud wall. This may not seem that impressive at first glance, but when taken into consideration what Kakashi's mud wall has been shown blocking in the past, becomes much better. In the war arc during Kakashi's battle with Rinnegan Obito, Obito projects multiple giant shuriken out of his Kamui dimension and hurls them at Kakashi. Kakashi's response is to simply mudwall these giant shuriken, which successfully blocks all of them. The reason this is impressive is because Obito has managed to cut through all of Yuki's 8 tails, the same 8 tails that can withstand the force of the Biju Bomb. It's also worth noting that the only people who have been shown capable of cutting through the 8 tails are both the 3rd and 4th Raikage, who are both Biju level. If you aren't aware, the Biju Bombs have been...
Wait. Did he... Let me just... Make sure I heard that correctly.
Cut through all of Gyuki's 8 tails, the same 8 tails that can withstand the force of the Biju bomb. It's also worth noting that the only people who have been shown capable of cutting through the 8 tails are both the 3rd and 4th Raikage, who are both Biju level. If you aren't aware, the Biju bombs have been...
So no, he won't die from getting hit with the Biju Dama, but he doesn't necessarily withstand them. He does get hurt by them, and those aren't the only 2 people ever cut through the 8 tails. Sasuke cuts through him, and Minato cuts through him with a kunai. So that's not true either.
Calc that both small country and multi-continental in force. This would mean that Pain's basic Shinra Tensei is potentially generating Biju levels of force.
Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. The Shinra Tensei is at least continental.
To add further support this, Pain utilized Shinra Tensei against Gamabunta as well, and managed to break every bone in his body and one-shot him. This is even more of an effect than Shikaku One-Tail's Biju managed to do with his air bullets, which are stated to require more than 1 to subdue Gamabunta. This is not the most powerful jutsu in Pain's arsenal either, as Pain was shown capable of leveling the entire Leaf Village with his chaotic Shinra Tensei. This feat was actually calced consistently around island level.
So let me get this straight. The jutsu that you just openly admit is more powerful than the one that you're saying should be at least continental is weaker at island level. You see, there's an inconsistency problem here already, Noodles.
Even this jutsu is not the most destructive and powerful in his arsenal, as he also
according to you, it's not even destructive and powerful, it's weaker.
Has access to the Chibaku Tensei, which summons a massive amount of earth together, enough of which to generate around country to continental levels of force.
How do we get back up to continental? And even then, again, Chibaku Tensei you said was like continental to like multi-continental off the Biju. So not only is it his most powerful, it also somehow is second most powerful. Amazing.
To support Pain being around Biju level even further, there's a direct statement in the 3rd data book on page 196 that says, hardened skillful masters even stronger than Jinchuriki. And later on down the page, it says that Pain believes that when the Akatsuki are formed into pairs, they will lose neither to a Biju nor Jinchuriki. This would mean that Pain has to have some jutsu or ability to deal with the Biju and Jinchuriki. This would at least scale to the Chibaku Tensei, since it is his most powerful jutsu, which was even somewhat containing 8 Tails Naruto. There are a few other feats of Pain shown, such as Tendo Pain destroying Arasa and Shuriken with the Shinra Tensei, but I have an issue with this that I'll explain later, so that will actually bring it into the AP and strength section for Pain. Pain's speed is much less convoluted than people realize, seeing as he only has 2 fights. So to start, Pain was shown capable of
Pain has like at least 3 fights. Again, I know you say you don't use anime, but as we're going to see later in this video, and I'll point out when you do use anime only states. So he gets 3. Another's against another perfect Jinchuriki. And he is a perfect Jinchuriki because he is able to freely use the V2 state.
Reacting, blocking, and tagging Kakashi multiple times. Although Kakashi was weakened throughout a majority of this fight, it is worth noting that Pain was still comparable to Kakashi in the beginning of their encounter.
I don't know how Kakashi would have been weakened, but I don't know. I'll wait to see some evidence for that one.
Another speed feat, as mentioned earlier, is Pain's capability to react and combat base Naruto. And he was even able to block a Sage Mode kick from Naruto as well. The Sage Mode feat is impressive because it potentially means that Pain scales the War Arc Sage Naruto, which is stated and shown to be faster in combat speed than KCM Naruto. This means that Pain scales to both base Naruto and Kakashi for sure, and potentially even Sage Mode or KCM Naruto.
To Sage Mode Naruto, absolutely. KCM, yeah, I think that's arguable. There's not a whole lot of reasons to say that Pain shouldn't scale to Nagato, considering that, at least as far as reaction speed and all that, because Nagato is the one controlling them. And there's no reason to say Nagato, at least the things that he's controlling, would be slower reactive than him. And the reason why he can't react so well is just because his body is damaged, not necessarily because he himself can't mentally react. So it wouldn't be too far to say that Pain can't react to KCM level characters, which will make sense considering how easily he reacts to Naruto, 6 Tails Naruto, and all that. There's a consistency to that. And even that was a highly weakened Pain who just got done destroying the entire Leaf Village and fighting off Sage Naruto, I think, at least 2 times, and just lost like 5 bodies.
Naruto. He also has some feats of being relative or faster than Jiraiya, but unfortunately for Jiraiya, he has a pretty severe lack of speed scaling, only really placing him in tiers relative to Orochimaru in Part 1, who again only really scales above Part 1 Kakashi.
I don't know if I
Sorry,
would put
Jiraiya
him in
fans,
part
but
one,
as it
but
stands,
fair.
nothing makes his speed impressive. As for hacks, this is where it gets juicy. Pain has numerous abilities in his arsenal, his main ones originating from his Rinnegan. The human path has soul and mind manipulation, as he is able to not only rip people's souls from their bodies, but also obtain their thoughts. The Naraka
Sorry,
path
still
can
sick.
summon the King of Hell, and with this he can heal and resummon the other paths of pain. The King of
Quick pause unrelated. If this ends up not sounding well, just let me know. I'll delete the video and I'll try again later. Sorry, I'm still getting over this head cold.
Hell can also be used for interrogation, as shown when Pain uses it to grab a hold of a victim's tongue and forces them to answer a question. If they answer the question dishonestly, the King of Hell will then proceed to rip out their soul. The animal path is pretty self-explanatory, as it is able to summon massive creatures to fight their opponents. These creatures also share the Rinnegan vision of the other paths of pain, and can even have their own unique abilities, like the chameleon that can go invisible, or the dog that can duplicate itself whenever it is damaged. He also can summon a big-ass bird and flying right on it. The Ashra path has the ability to generate weapons and armor in which it can augment its own body with. It was shown to have the capability to fire a long-range chakra blast and detach its body parts when necessary. It can
Keep in mind those the types are able to fight Biju as well. Because again, it's not like he only sends the Diva path in order to fight Bijus. It's just we know that the less paints that are up, the more powerful the paths become. If it was truly a case that all the others were completely useless against Biju, he would only send Diva. But we know that's not true. So all of them are able to fight Biju.
can even self-destruct when it is defeated, and can also fire long-range missiles. Preta Path is one of the most useful paths of pain, as it is able to absorb the chakra from opponents' ninjutsu, and in the hands of Madara, it was even capable of absorbing particle style. Stated in the databook that when pain actually absorbs chakra, it's transferred into a bottomless swamp, meaning that pain can potentially drain an infinite amount of chakra. The last path is Deva, who is by far the most powerful, as his gravity manipulation is capable of pulling opponents in and repelling massive waves of energy outward. His Rinnegan vision is also shared amongst every path of pain, which allows them to see from each other's perspectives and combo attack more effectively. They can even see attacks coming from behind. The final ability to mention is Pain's chakra rods, which he uses to fight and pierce Space Naruto with. These rods were able to suppress
Again, he's also able to use them to pierce the Six Tails V2 cloak and completely nullify his chakra.
Naruto's chakra and render him defenseless. Pain also has pretty decent taijutsu, as he was capable of dodging all of Hinata's attacks, but whether this was due to simply Hinata being too slow or Pain being too skilled, I'm not for sure. The final thing I want to bring up in regards to Pain scaling might be his most major flaw. Pain's durability simply does not have good outings. To begin with the best feat, the Deva Path was shown to potentially tank a Six Tails Naruto Biju Bomb, which has been calced at around island level to country level. The reason I say potentially is because it's unclear whether or not Pain actually withstood the blast, and because of how closely Tendo is shown in
So the other, if Deva's the most powerful, and this would be the most powerful variant of them, according to your logic, they would be at least multi-continental because the Asura path is able to survive getting hit by the Shinra Tensei early on in the fight when he's fighting with Kakashi and them. He uses the Shinra Tensei to block Kakashi's Shidori when he goes to pierce him, and the Asura path is just right there.
in comparison to the monument versus how close the blast was to the monument. This might just be a bad artistic choice, and Pain was intended to withstand the Biju Bomb, but I'm not really
It's
for
irrelevant.
sure. The rest of Pain's durability feats include, but are not limited to, getting one tap by base Rasengan's.
Okay, so the one over here with Konohamaru, that's the path that's used to resurrect the Pains, so he actually did survive that. This Rasengan didn't take him out. I plan on doing a video on this topic soon where I'll show 100% how this ends up going on, but no, it doesn't take him out. This one right here, this was at a point in time where Pain was so weak that he had actually just fallen down. Like, he was so weakened that standing was really hard for him to do. So even if he does take him out with this, that's irrelevant. And even then, Naruto was like, hey, if I don't take the rods out of him, he could get up again. Sure that Naruto's not even convinced that that fully took him out. He had also just got done beating Sage Naruto 3 times and the Six Tails. This over here, that's two Sage Art Rasengan. It says it right there. Sage Art Rasengan Barrage. It's two Sage Art Enhanced Rasengan. So that's not a base Rasengan. Saying right here, these are not base Rasengans. And it's not one, it's two. So, yeah, no.
On like 4 separate occasions, 3 of which Naruto performed, and the final one being performed by none other than the legendary god of shinobi, Kid Konohamaru.
And even if it did take him out, the Rasengan's like, what, an A rank, S rank jutsu? Powerful enough to. It was so powerful that even Kid Naruto, who just mastered it, he didn't even master it. He just got the ability to use it. Was able to one-shot Kabuto with it. The same Kabuto was fighting Tsunade. So according to this, like I talked about with like the Wii video, if we sit there and say this is an anti-feat, it means that Tsunade and Orochimaru and Kabuto have like trash durability as well, because they would just get one shot by Kid Naruto.
Pain was also able to momentarily withstand Kakashi's Raikiri, although the Osteopath did die soon after due to the damage caused.
They're already dead. They can't die again.
Pain also managed to withstand a kick from Naruto as he entered Sage Mode, but I'm not for sure how consistent this is, considering Sage Mode Naruto manages to destroy a Path of Pain later in the fight with his Frog Kumite. The Paths of Pain also failed to withstand the Rasen Shuriken multiple times, but that'll become more relevant later in the video. Now this will bring a close to the Pain section of the video, and we will now begin talking about Kakuzu's capabilities. For starters, Kakuzu's taijutsu is pretty nasty, as we see that he's capable of damaging Kakashi with both his hands and tendrils. Kakuzu is also capable of beating Choji horribly with his taijutsu.
Same thing with Pain.
He was even able to momentarily stop Yukito's paw. He also whacks Asuma over the head with a briefcase. Asuma in the first data book was said to be near Kakashi's level in strength and was able to fight on par with Hidan. Kakuzu also...
by the time he got Kakuzu, he had already just got done fighting Hidan and was hurt, so...
also bust a massive gate down with a Diamond Armor Enhanced Punch. It's also stated in the third data book on page 196 that Kakuzu, along with the other members of the Akatsuki, are stronger than Biju. Further down the page, we see a statement from Pain that says, when Akatsuki members are formed into pairs, we will lose neither to a Biju nor Jinchuriki. This means that Kakuzu and Hidan have to have some capabilities that make them strong enough to beat Jinchuriki, which is proven true as Kakuzu managed to beat Yugito, who is a perfect Jinchuriki. There's another statement that supports this, and it was found when I was made aware of the Funo Show special booklet, which was written by Kishimoto and was one of the 2 special booklets given to visitors of the Naruto exhibition in Japan. Inside of this non-English translated data book, I found a random picture of Kakuzu in the corner of a page.
That's nice.
I, of course, had to get my translator 02 to translate it, and it unironically says this: all members of the Akatsuki have high combat capabilities. Even Jinchuriki fall into their hands one by one.
Okay, so the problem with these statements is they actually apply to all members of the Akatsuki. So that means that even Pain has high combat capabilities, combat capabilities. Even Jinchuriki will fall by his hands as well, which means even like someone like Hidan and all that. So this doesn't upscale anyone in the Akatsuki. So if anything, it just puts them back at a level playing field, and you would have to prove why Kakuzu would, or any member would be more powerful.
This statement just outright says that all of the members of the Akatsuki have combat abilities that make them capable of beating Jinchuriki. This statement, of course, would be applicable to Pain as well.
Yeah.
There are some people out there who believe that Yugito the Two Tails is not a perfect Jinchuriki, although I will say there is some justification to this idea, as Danzo at the Kage Summit wrongfully claims that the only known perfect Jinchuriki is Yager the Three Tails and Killer Bee the Eight Tails. The reason I claim this is wrong is because the third data book on page 127, we have a direct statement on her character page that says she gained mastery over her tailed beast. And this is shown in the brief encounter with Kakuzu, as she is able to fully transform into her Biju avatar form at will. When Naruto was in KCM during his battle with Obito, he was unable to fully transform into his avatar mode because he had yet to cooperate and master the Nine Tails' power. It was only in KCM 2 that Naruto and the Nine Tails finally started working together and utilizing their full Biju avatar like Yugito. So I think one of 2 things happened with the Danzo statement. One, Kishimoto just forgot that Yukito could fully transform and master her Biju. Or two is that Danzo simply did not know that Yukito had mastered her Jinchuriki, which is not that outlandish to say, because not even Kakuzu and Hidan knew she had mastery over her Biju, and they were in the Akatsuki studying the Biju. So I don't think it would be crazy for Danzo to not be aware of it either. Anyway, point of the story
I'm fine with that. I can see it.
is Kakuzu is stronger than both Perfect Jinchuriki and Biju. There's also
Yeah, but you haven't explained why the other not the other tail beasts, why the other Akatsuki members wouldn't also now be more powerful as well. Because again, so far all these statements that you use for Kakuzu applies to all Akatsuki members.
another argument that helps support Kakuzu being above Jinchuriki. In chapter 350 within the recap, it is stated that Kakuzu is one of the Akatsuki's deadliest members, which means that Kakuzu would be in the top half of the Akatsuki in terms of killing ability. What's funny about this argument is that more than half, if not all of the members of the Akatsuki have scaling to the Biju and Jinchuriki. Let's just say for the sake of argument that both Hidan and Zetsu are not deadlier than Jinchuriki. That still leaves Sasori, who has the third Kazekage puppet in Iron Sand. The Iron Sand is actually stated to be the reason why the third Kazekage was feared as the strongest Kazekage. This means that Sasori has a weapon that is stronger and deadlier than both Gaara and Rasa. Gaara being a Jinchuriki himself, and Rasa being someone who's capable of subduing the One-Tails when it would go on rampages. Gaara is also shown capable of blocking a C3 bomb from Datara, which at the time was said to be Datara's prize bomb that contained special C3 chakra. This C3 was so big that it was going to destroy the entire Sand Village, and was said in the third data book on page 245 to be the highest level of scale and beauty. This means that at the time it was dropped, the C3 was Datara's biggest and strongest bomb yet. Gaara was able to completely block it, only losing to the tiny bombs that Datara hid within some sand that was returning to Gaara's sand shield. The reason this is impressive is because Datara was unironically capable of one-shotting the Three Tails Biju.
He didn't one-shot the Three Tails Biju. They actually still do fight. He hurts them massively, but this doesn't suggest he one-shots them.
With some random fish bomb. This means that Datara's bombs are stronger than the Three Tails, and Datara's strongest bomb at the time, C3, is stronger than the fish bomb that blew up the Three Tails. Kasame is literally stated to be as powerful as the Jinchuriki. Itachi has tons of things that scale him above Biju and Jinchuriki, but one of the obvious ones is his Amaterasu, which is said to be the strongest offensive ninjutsu by Black Zetsu, a character who has literally witnessed every fight with the Jinchuriki and the Akatsuki up to this point. And we see Sasuke also literally Amaterasu both the full Avatar Killer Bee and the Lightning Cloak Raikage. The Lightning Cloak Raikage is both stated to have Biju levels of chakra and is shown capable of cutting through the Eight Tails horn. The same horn that could withstand its own Biju bomb.
Not Obito. Zetsu also believes that Pain is unbeatable, which means he thinks he'd be able to deal with the power of the Amaterasu.
Obito has fire style that completely withstand a punch from the full Avatar Bee, and a Kamui Shuriken which can cut through the Eight Tails. All of these Akatsuki members are just outright stated to be stronger than Biju and will not lose to Jinchuriki either, and Kakuzu is one of the deadliest members, making him even deadlier than people who can quite literally beat and kill Biju.
It just says he's one of the deadliest. So that would mean like he could be deadlier than Datara and Sasori, but still not as deadly as Kasame. Or Itachi. So he could be like right in the middle of those 4 or 5 people, and the statement would still be true.
To highlight some of Kakuzu's hacks and abilities, he mastered all 5 chakra natures and can use them at high levels. He can even combine them to make even more powerful jutsu. So strong that he overpowered Kakashi's water style with wind-enhanced fire jutsu. He was also able to cancel out 2 Raikiri, which is Kakashi's strongest.
He didn't cancel them out. Kakashi canceled out his jutsu. And I know there's the idea that he used the 2 because he needed the 2. I subscribe to the idea that he only used the 2 to protect the 2 people behind him. He could have probably protected with like the 1 in front of him. But if you look at the way he's holding it, his hands are out to the side, so these 2 aren't affected. So
attack with 1 lightning style false darkness. Not only did he block 1 of Kakashi's Raikiri, but he actually blocked 2 of them. It may look like Kakashi is channeling 1 Raikiri between both hands, but that is not how the Raikiri functions. It's actually stated that after Kakashi blocks false darkness, that he has performed the Raikiri 4 times. Yet the only times Kakashi uses the Raikiri in the fight is the first time when he stabs through Kakuzu's heart, and the second time when he makes another one to charge at Hidan. So I don't know if I'm counting correctly, but that means 1 to attack Kakuzu, 1 to attack Hidan, and 3 and 4 to block False Darkness. Makes sense. Anyway, if you want to know how strong the Raikiri is, I highly suggest you go and watch my Kakashi Raikiri video. It will give you more context as to why this feat is impressive. Kakuzu's ninjutsu is also stated by Kakashi to be impressive because one normally cannot perform high-level ninjutsu unless they're compatible with the user's chakra nature. He notes that this is impressive because Kakuzu has already shown usage of 3 chakra natures, and later in the fight, Kakuzu actually shows usage of all 5. It's also worth to mention that Hidan claims Kakashi is the first to avoid his wind-style jutsu combination, which is described as a routine attack. The reason this is impressive is because routine means that Kakuzu uses this attack regularly in his fights, and yet Kakashi has been the only one to survive despite Kakuzu fighting multiple Biju and Jinchuriki.
We only know of like 2 Biju that he fought. We don't know how long either of the fights lasted as well. So realistically, the fights could have gone on for hours, and then that combo was used. This would be important because at that point in time, if that's how that went down, and there's no reason to say it didn't, it would have gotten to the point where the Biju would have been massively weakened, like we see even like Pain when he fights Naruto. After the fight goes on for so long, you end up so much weaker that you can't withstand stuff that you probably should be able to.
Cherokee. The last argument is a bit speculative, but I
still second person. How are we today?
Kakuzu also has 5 autonomous hearts that are more powerful than Kakashi and can fly around the battlefield destroying any foe to Kakuzu. He also has some tendrils that he can extend his melee range with and a grapple range with, and even dig underground to surprise attack people as well. Kakuzu also can enhance his taijutsu strength and durability with one of his best jutsus, the Diamond Armor. Kakuzu's taijutsu and ninjutsu strength is not the only important aspect of this fight, as I believe Kakuzu's durability and resilience is truly what makes him so difficult to deal with. Kakuzu was able to completely withstand a direct paw strike from Perfect Jinchuriki Yugito, the same Yugito that could damage KCM1 Naruto and blind Madara with their paw strikes. This means that Kakuzu has more durability than both KCM Naruto and blind Hashirama Cell revived Madara.
He doesn't have more durability than them. He has to use Diamond Morph to protect against a paper bomb, but he does get taken out by a 1-star Rasen Shuriken. At that point in time, that would have taken out most people, but we do know that Madara in the war actually does get hit with a more powerful 1-star Rasen Shuriken, and it just flat out doesn't do anything to him. KCM Naruto. I don't really think of any impressive high level durability feats for KCM1 Naruto, so I don't know. There's no reason to actually think that their ability is that high.
Madara. It's also worth to note that the Biju can harm each other with physical strikes and can also withstand their own Biju bombs, as shown with the 8 tails. Kakuzu is also able to withstand a fireball from Yugito that blows up the compound he and Hidan were trapped in. An interesting detail about the paw strike feat mentioned earlier is that Kakuzu is not using the Diamond Armor to block her punch. As you can see in the panel, his arms are not black, unlike when Kakuzu uses Diamond Armor to punch down this massive monk gate with ceiling jutsu plastered over it, or when he blocks the paper bomb kunai from Shikamaru. So this means that base Kakuzu is able to withstand a blow that blind Madara and KCM Naruto can't withstand. Base Kakuzu has more durability than blind Madara. Swallow that for a second. This is not even the most impressive scaling for Kakuzu's durability either, as Kakuzu himself states that he is invulnerable to physical attacks. Wait, what about the Raikiri? Didn't he get damaged with that? Kakuzu didn't even know the Raikiri existed when he made that statement, and the Raikiri pierced him not only because of power, but also because it exploited the weakness that Earth Style has to Lightning Style. The reason this is impressive is because Kakuzu has likely seen Biju bombs and things of that nature due to fighting multiple Biju and Jinchuriki. There is actually evidence to suggest this in the aftermath of the Yugito fight. As you can see in the background, a major part of a mountain was destroyed, and the only jutsu in the Biju's arsenal that has been...
Sorry about that. So he just felt wrong because not only does the Raikiri able to do that, but the Rasen Shuriken is also able to take him out. He also doesn't know about all jutsu that exists. So again, a weird claim. What's up, Loke? How are we today? And no, we don't necessarily know if he's even seen a Bijudama. The only attack that we can confirm that he's seen is Yugito's on fire style attack, and that's about it. If you watch the anime, which again we use anime, he uses anime clips here. He does also get taken out by the Buddhist monks. So
been shown capable of destroying this much area was the Biju Bomb. Yugito's fireball was only able to destroy the compound she trapped Kakuzu and Hidan in. Shikaku's air bullets did not vaporize mountains. The only thing ever shown by the Biju to ever cause this much destruction is the Biju Bomb. So for Kakuzu to say that he doesn't believe physical attacks will work on him means Kakuzu believes even Biju Bombs don't work on him. This is obviously supported by the statements earlier of Kakuzu not losing to Biju nor Jinchuriki, because if a Biju could just vaporize him with a Biju Bomb, why didn't they?
Because they don't always just use the Biju Dama. I mean, Shikaku got control of himself, and he actually never uses one in his fight. We don't see Yugito just flat out use Biju Damas in his fight with him. The only time we actually ever see that is with actually the Ninetales is one of the only ones that actually directly utilize Biju Damas.
The final and one of the most important factors to Kakuzu's resilience is his Earth Grudge Fear technique that allows him to hide 5 stolen hearts of Shinobi inside of him, forcing his opponents to land not just 1, but 5.
Sorry. 1 second. Technical problems.
Fatal blows to Kakuzu inside of him, forcing his opponents to land not just 1, but 5 fatal blows to Kakuzu, or just be strong enough to one-shot multiple of them like Naruto did. The final section for Kakuzu that I have to bring up is his speed. Kakuzu on several occasions manages to tag and blitz Kakashi. The most impressive of these feats is easily the speed blitz Kakuzu pulled off after getting Raikiri'd. To explain the scene a bit, Kakuzu first gets surprise attacked by the Raikiri and then falls to the ground. Kakashi then creates his second Raikiri whilst having a Sharingan activated and then begins to charge at Hidan. So firstly, this is the very beginning of the fight, so there's no room to argue Kakashi was weakened. Secondly, he has his 3-Tomo Sharingan activated, which increases his speed, and he has his Raikiri activated, which is also said to increase his speed. So this is the fastest possible Kakashi at this moment in time, and Kakuzu, whilst laying on the ground, gets up in front of Kakashi's Sharingan and Raikiri and proceeds to kick him through a forest, all before Kakashi can react. Kakuzu was not even in his fastest or strongest state either. As shown later in the fight, the Jiangu Kakuzu manages to increase his chakra.
Sorry about that. So that's impressive, but you're also leaving out the context that at that point in time, Kakashi had actually thought that he had killed Kakuzu, so he wouldn't have been focused on him in order to counter. It's possible that had Kakashi not think that he had killed Kakuzu, that he would have fallen for such a thing. We do know that later on as well, and you already showed this scene earlier. He's able to use 2 Raikiri to block the false darkness, and Kakuzu is faster to Shigemaru and Choji than he was than Kakashi was. So he's able to get was able to get into what from Kakuzu's jutsu, which would make them relative at best. He had to utilize a trick in order to get that one hit on Kakashi. The only other times we see him hit Kakashi is when they're in direct hand-to-hand combat, which would prove that Kakuzu has better hand-to-hand skills than Kakashi, sure, but it doesn't prove he's faster than him.
In speed and jumping capabilities when he fuses all of his hearts inside of himself. So this easily establishes Kakuzu above Kakashi. The next bit of speed scaling I want to address is Kakuzu scaling above Ninetales Chakra Naruto. For those that believe this is base Naruto, here's the Shueisha official colored manga where they depict Naruto's eyes as red and slitted, proving he's using Ninetales Chakra. So to start off, Kakuzu is shown blitzing a couple of Naruto's clones on multiple occasions. Naruto's shadow clones.
He doesn't blitz them, he just hits them. What, is every single time somebody hits somebody, now that's automatically just a blitz? What the hell? And yeah, he hits like 2 of 3, but the fact that 2 or 3 of them is enough to make it so Naruto can hit him, even if he could speed blitz him means he's not that much faster than him. Look at somebody like Kimimaro. When he fights Naruto, he's so much faster than them that 100 clones can't make a difference. And that's shown consistently with Naruto. If you're massively faster than somebody, it doesn't matter how many clones you make.
clones are relative to him in speed, which is why they're able to combo attack with him. After destroying these clones, Naruto verbatim says, based on his assault speed, I'm going to need at least 3 clones for the diversion alone.
Yeah, the attack speed in which the speed in which he's able to attack would be his assault speed. So he's worried that he won't be able to get close enough to him for him to attack, which makes sense considering at this point in time, Kakuzu is utilizing a lot more long range attacks. If Kakuzu at this point was close range, that might not be true.
2 things are important to note in this statement. The first thing is that he needs the diversion to begin with. If Naruto were fast enough to hit Kakuzu with the Rasen Shuriken, he wouldn't need a diversion at all. The point of a diversion is to distract someone so you can catch them off guard. The second thing is that Naruto literally says that Kakuzu's assault speed was the reason he needed a diversion, implying he attacks too fast. This is literally shown with the Shadow Clones getting blitzed. To top
both these things are true, but the reason is because at this point in time, again, Kakuzu is utilizing really far-ranged attacks. The data book states that he can control the how far these things can go at will. So, with that in mind, yeah, it would make sense that if his assault speed is high and Naruto has to get close, that he would need to distract him to get through. Not necessarily, again, that Kakuzu is just faster than him.
Top this all off, Choji literally says that Kakuzu is faster than every single ninja there, which includes both Naruto and...
Then we're stuck. We can't hit him that fast. This is in what's being said here. The fact that the jutsu that Naruto has only lasts a few seconds. He's saying that they won't be able to get in close to hit him with a jutsu that only works so quickly. Not necessarily that he's so fast that they can't hit him at all.
And Kakashi. Wait, Noodles, what about the time Kakashi hit Kakuzu in the back? What about those other 2 times where Naruto hit Kakuzu in the back? That's the only way they could get a hit, is by hitting him in the back. For Kakuzu...
What about that time Shikamaru was able to get his own hearts to attack a puddle and he wasn't able to react in time to get him out of the way? What about that time Choji was able to get straight up in front of him as well to throw hands with them? He also was able to drop out of the sky and hit him like that as well, which wasn't to the back. Yes, he wasn't necessarily paying attention, but again, if he was as fast as you're saying he is, he should have been able to avoid it without using Diamond Morph. We can go on and on, but let's continue with this.
Kakuzu literally says he didn't sense Kakashi behind him, proving that Kakashi sneak attacked him in the back. As for Naruto, he literally diverted Kakuzu's attention twice to hit him in the back twice. He literally stated that he was going to divert him.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have worked. If you look at the data book, it stated that when he's in this form, he has no blind spots. I know you think it's hyperbole, but it's weird to think that specific statement in the data book is hyperbole, but since it specifically states for this form. It's not like this saying like overall with this mask he has no blind spots, saying when he's in this form he has none.
Here's the definition of diversion. Something intended to distract someone's attention from something more important, aka the Rasen Shuriken. So no, Naruto and Kakashi do not scale to Kakuzu. And for those that think Kakashi swapped hands with Kakuzu, that only happened in the anime, and it still doesn't prove he's relative, considering even in the anime, Kakuzu still majorly beats the shit out of him. It's never once shown that Kakashi was able to swap hands with Kakuzu in the manga, which is what I'm using anyway. So basically, Kakuzu is faster than both Kakashi and Ninetales Chakra Naruto. Kakuzu's most blatant and obvious best speed feat comes in his fight with Yukito, where he is able to point-blank react and catch a fully transformed Hanatabi and Yukito pause strike. Yukito herself was majorly impressive during the War Arc Jinchuriki vs. Jinchuriki battle, as she was capable of moving alongside and tagging both KCM Naruto and Killer B. Just to be clear, she is clearly moving similar speeds to both B and KCM Naruto in this panel. Wait, Noodles, they were amped by Obito. No, they weren't, and I have definitive proof as to why. To start, during the Jinchuriki vs. Jinchuriki battle, we see that Obito fails to completely control the Jinchuriki when he gets close to them, and Kakashi remarks that this is
so I've already read this page. It's actually talking about the fact that it already takes a lot right here. It's got to take a serious amount of chakra to completely control 7 Biju with just one's Akira power. If you look at the panels before this, it's my guy talking about trying to figure out why he's not using the Renegon's ability. So really, this is talking about not Obito's lack of ability to control the Biju, more the fact that he's not using the Renegon abilities through the Jinchuriki like he could. This is even him openly admitting, like, hey, yeah, you're right, I am controlling them, but that 100% is why I'm not using the Renegon's abilities, because of how much chakra it takes up. There's also a statement later on. You don't show this for some reason, which is weird, but the Four Tails Goku actually flat out says, yeah, we're not a big fan of the fact that we're being controlled by this guy, implying that even the fully transformed Bijus are being controlled by Obito. So to sit there and say that he's barely controlling them doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it would make more sense, because I know what you're talking about there, because there is a moment where they do almost hit him, but it's fair to say that their attacks are just so big and wide that it's easy for Obito to just get in the crossfire.
It's probably due to the vast amount of chakra it takes to control all of the Jinchuriki. This means that Obito did not have enough chakra to even completely control them, let alone amplify their Biju power. Imagine you have a dog on a leash, and this dog is much larger and stronger than yourself.
I hate your
and you're
guys'
struggling
drama.
to maintain control of it. Do you then just inject steroids into the dog to make it more powerful and even more difficult to control? Obviously not, but that's what Obito would be doing if he was giving them more
That's what
chakra.
I'm doing.
This is not the only thing
Wait, what?
either, as we also know that Obito was specifically trying to conserve chakra during the war, and even go so far to say that he doesn't want to waste chakra on Rinnegan.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, right here. Why aren't they using Pain's jutsus? Maybe they, or he can't. So he's not foolish enough to divvy up his chakra to make them perform
Due to
Pain's.
the fact that Kakashi and Naruto are
Don't do that. Pain's jutsus that are already known to be able to countered. Right here, it's got to take serious amounts of chakra to completely control 7 of the Biju, which is what we just read. So this right here implies that down here it's not trying to say what you're trying to say it is.
already aware of how to counter said abilities. This proves that he would not be infusing chakra into them because they have their own massive chakra pools, and he needs to conserve chakra, and infusing chakra into them would be part of the Rinnegan's abilities, which he has already said he would not be wasting chakra on.
We know that having huge amounts of the Biju's chakra can drive you insane. So you could argue that he's not trying to go insane. You can also argue that he wants as much of the Bijus to have as much of their chakra as possible for the Getomazos to be able to summon the Ten Tails.
Not only this, but I actually translated the raw Japanese databook page on Yugito and found this statement. When she was resurrected in the impure world reincarnation, she tormented Naruto and the others with her swift movements and various techniques that used the power of the tailed beast. The power of the tailed beast, not the power of Obito. It continues. However, she was able to master these high-level techniques because she continued to improve herself based on her strong belief to protect the neighborhood. The second aspect of the statement proves that she had already mastered these techniques before she died, hence the improving self part. You can't improve if you're an Edo Tensei. So the same claw attack she was using during the war would be the same technique she used against Kakuzu. I will admit one thing is being improved by Obito.
I don't think that was her. I think that was just Madatabi. I don't think she was resurrected again for that.
And that is the Jinchuriki's movement tracking of the Sharingan and the shared vision of the Rinnegan. The benefit to having both of these abilities is that your reaction speed and area perception would improve. I've addressed this many times before, but simply increasing your perceptive capabilities does not grant you the physical speed to keep up with or fight other people. This is literally shown in early Naruto when Lee beats up Sasuke. Here, Lee directly says that Sasuke, despite being able to perceive his movements, was not fast enough to physically block his attacks.
That was the 2 Tomo, and it shows later on when Sasuke has the 3 Tomo that he goes from not being able to react to Naruto with the KCM chakra, not the cloak, with the Nine Tails chakra. He goes from not being able to react to him to being able to react to him and like body him with no problem. So, yes and no.
The same idea is relevant to Yukito because even though her perception speed is better, her run speed and attack speed would not be different, which means the claw attack she landed on B and the movement speed feat shown earlier proves that she had the physical.
That was base B. We know that base B is faster than A. KCM would be faster than that as well. So, or at least relative to a higher level B, which means that if he were to go to like V1 or something, he'd be able to outmove her with no problem.
Physical capability to block, tag, and move alongside KCM Naruto even when she was alive. This is ignoring the major nerf of the Edo Tensei as well, but I'm not even going to enter that can of worms today. We will now transition into how I believe this fight plays out and address common counter arguments I've seen people make. So to put it plainly,
why did you only go for Kakuzu's counter arguments? Why didn't you do any paints? I mean, yes, I know you believe Kakuzu wins this fight, but surely you could have found some bad arguments for people saying, Kakuzu wins because of this or something. You could have come up with something to at least make it a little more fair.
Kakuzu scales above Biju in physicality, durability, and in raw ninjutsu, whereas Pain only really scales above Biju with his Shibaku Tensei.
According to you, he should scale above him even with the Shinron Tensei, which you stated should be on par with Biju Dama's. For some reason, you downscaled that after saying that, which was weird, especially the full power one. Again, his rods can penetrate the six tails as well.
None of Pain's other abilities have been shown to overpower or compete with any Jinchuriki or Biju, including the likes of the Shinra Tensei, which Six Tails Naruto tanked and walked through. The statements made in the Funo Show booklet and the third data book illustrate the idea that all of the Akatsuki have some means of dealing with the Biju and Jinchuriki. Sasori has his Iron Sand and Poison, Deidara has his bombs, Kakuzu has his high-level ninjutsu and taijutsu, and Pain's ability he uses to beat Jinchuriki is unclear at best, but I believe it's likely his Chibaku Tensei, seeing that is the ability he chose to use against Naruto to capture him.
We see him capture the Six Tails as well, and he captures him with the Shinron Tensei.
None of his other abilities are provably on the level of Biju or Jinchuriki, and to claim any ability in Pain's arsenal besides the Chibaku Tensei scales to the Biju would be baseless. There's no evidence that any of his other abilities scale, and the only reason I say besides the Chibaku Tensei is because that's by far his strongest ability. So at minimum, the data book and booklet statements support the Chibaku Tensei being strong enough to capture Biju. The reason this is relevant is because Kakuzu has durability that is greater than the Jinchuriki's attacks, so the only physical ability Pain can bring to the table to rival or beat Kakuzu is the Chibaku Tensei. Shinron Tensei will not work because its best showing is against Kakashi, and even he withstood multiple of them, and Gamabunta, who is much weaker than a non-Jinchuriki Shikaku, whereas Kakuzu is more powerful.
Wait, a non-Jinchuriki Shikaku? But he had a Jinchuriki. He was a Jinchuriki at that point in time. What are you talking about? Yes, he was getting stronger throughout the fight, but there's nothing to say that he doesn't get to full power. And even then, he's able to fight him off. He's also able to fight off the Nine Tails, and his grandson's able to fight the Ten Tails. You could say that they don't scale directly, but it'd be weird to say that Gamakichi got massively more powerful than Gamabunta, especially since he's able to fight on par with I think it's Aoda and the 10% slug that Sakura summons, who I can't remember the name of for some reason. So it's consistent to say that Gamakichi as an adult and Gamabunta are relative. So they're scaling to Gamabunta to the tailed beast, and his summonings are on that level as well. So no, I forgot my point.
Powerful than a perfect Jinchuriki Yugito. So that means the Shinron Tensei has no feats that will be capable of damaging him. Pain's tied.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course, that would mean if Gambunta has scaling to that, it means the Shinron Tensei can quite literally break the bones of tail beasts with absolutely no problems. You can sit there and argue, well, it didn't break Kakashi's bones, and you could say it's just because he didn't put as much force into that one as he did Gamabunta, which we know the more chakra he put into a jutsu, the more powerful it is. So maybe more likely he just didn't put as much juice into that one than he did against Gamabunta.
Taijutsu was getting blocked by base Naruto, not Sage Naruto. Sage Naruto was murder blitzing the pads of Pain.
No, he wasn't.
So none of that is going to work on.
He actually was not murder blitzing the pads of Pain. The way this goes is he takes out one with Frog Kumite, which is a jutsu that nobody knew about. He beats the summoning by knocking her out of the air, trapping her in a smoke bomb, getting her in the mouth of a frog, and taking her out where no way could see. He throws himself as a transformed Rasen Shuriken to sneak attack another one that Paths of Pain, which takes it down to like 3. One goes to a sort of nature jutsu off of him, but he just puts so much in him that he turns into a frog. And then I think there's one that gets taken out by. I can never remember how the last Path of Pain gets taken out. I think he ends up having to take a full power Shiro Tensei, but yeah, I don't remember. But all the Paths of Pain except Diva get taken out via some of the sneakiest tactics that Naruto had done at that point in time. So he doesn't speed blitz him.
Kakuzu. The Ashura Path pierced Kakashi with his blade, but Kakashi is much less durable than Kakuzu due to the Jinchuriki scaling. Every time I debate this topic, I always have someone bring up the summons as if they're some insane threat to Kakuzu. Kakuzu literally gets paid to fight insanely powerful giant monsters that can emit multi-continental blasts from their mouths, and he's literally stronger and more durable than all of them. The only feats...
I like the fact that he just claimed that Kakuzu is more durable than the Nine Tails, but anyway, no, he gets paid to take them one at a time, and even then, most of the time, remember, they don't know who does and doesn't have complete mastery of their Jinchuriki. Yukito did, but he didn't know that at the time, and that definitely seemed to be a problem for him, meaning that itself just isn't true. And even then, even if we sit there and say it is, the Jinchuriki fighting aren't immortal, it can be mass summoned in mass as well. So
the animal summonings have is getting beaten up by the toads during the pain fight and occasionally damaging them. The same toads that are weaker than Shikaku without a Jinchuriki.
No, they scale two-tail beasts in general. Because again, you think he wasn't without a Jinchuriki, so once again, I don't know why I keep saying this, but you yourself believe that all the tail beasts except the Nine Tails all scale relative. So if they can fight the One Tails, they can fight everyone all the way up to the Eight Tails, which means they just scale to Jinchuriki. Which means the summoning also just scaled to Jinchuriki.
Well, what about that dog?
Which, and I'll have to say this now that I'm thinking about it, which means unironically, you believe that the animal path just scales about Jinchuriki by itself.
That keeps splitting up. Well, what about it? It hasn't shown anything close to being as strong as a perfect Jinchuriki or a Biju. So what would it do to Kakuzu? Bite him and do nothing or break its teeth? What about the giant bird that flies around? It doesn't even have feet. The chameleon turns invisible, sure, but it still can't damage Kakuzu. And as soon as the animal path...
It wouldn't have to damage Kakuzu. It could just hold him still while Pain just rips out all of Kakuzu's chakra.
Path is destroyed, all the animal summons will go away. So no, I don't think the smaller, lesser monster summons are going to affect the literal Biju killer in Kakuzu. It wouldn't make any sense. How would a less big, less powerful dog beat him if a more powerful big cat couldn't? Wait, Noodles, what about the mud wall feat you mentioned earlier? Since Kakashi's mud wall could block the giant shurikens that cut the 8 tails, when Pain shattered the same mud wall, shouldn't the Shinra Tensei have 8 tails level attack potency? The answer is no, because it's not the same mud wall. Kakashi got insanely stronger during the war arc, and this is evident by the fact he performs much better speed feats, such as fighting the V2 Jinchuriki that were blitzing KCM1 Naruto and Killer B. Whereas before, he was only relative to the base Naruto that was capable of fighting Tendo. His stamina also greatly improved as well, seeing as he can fight multiple days straight, spamming Kamui along the way, whereas before, he can only use it a very select few times. The point of this tangent is that Kakashi's mud wall easily could have gotten stronger during the war arc. Also, through this method of scaling, you would have to claim Kakashi has Biju-level durability for taking multiple Shinra Tenseis to his face. Base Naruto is also able to withstand a Shinra Tensei, so no, the Shinra Tensei has no feats or scaling to damage Kakuzu, even at its strongest state. The best feat is it...
We've already been over this. He uses it to take out the 6 tails, and even then, at that point in time, the one that Naruto survived, he was so much weak. Pain was so weakened that he could barely stand. Even then, it took hundreds of clones to do it.
Going up the Leaf Village, which requires way less force and energy than the Biju can output. The same Biju that Kakuzu is stronger than. The Chaotic Shinra Tensei was calced at around 80 gigatons or ion level plus, whereas a standard Biju bomb has shown to generate 27 million gigatons of TNT.
Again, just ignoring the fact that you had already said that the Shinra Tensei should be able to scale to them as well, putting them at continental.
Or multi-continental levels of force. The difference in power between those abilities is massive, and I see no reason why a full-powered Pain would be able to physically damage Kakuzu in any way, besides maybe sealing him inside the Chibaku Tensei. Well, I keep saying, but
he could rip out all of his chakra, making Diamond Morph useless. He could hit him with lightning jutsu, which he has the ability to, which would make Diamond Morph useless. He could summon a bunch of a bunch of the animal summonings to take out the mask. He could summon the Getamazo. You summon the Soul Dragon to rip out the soul of Kakuzu and everything around him. He does it before he masters the Rinnegan. No reason he can't do it here. The Asura Path could probably launch a bunch of missiles right at Kakuzu's back to destroy the mask, or just destroy the mask like that outright. Once he's down to one heart, at that point, ripping his soul out, stabbing him with a rod. Any of the ways he can usually use to kill somebody is now on the table. I sound like a psychopath going over ways that Kakuzu could die.
Tensei, what stops Pain from just sucking Kakuzu up into it? Well, what stops Kakuzu from blasting his way out of the jutsu? Sure, the Chibaku Tensei can hold.
He's never been shown to be able to do that. You'd have to argue that he has attacks on par with both Itachi, KCM Naruto, and B at the same time. We know that was needed to destroy it. Kakuzu's not that powerful, even if we say he is KCM levels of power. What?
Hold perfect Jinchuriki inside of it, but can hold Kakuzu, who's stronger than a perfect Jinchuriki?
Okay, I'm going to do the math for this. KCM2, Perfect Jinchuriki Naruto, was able to deflect the attacks of 5 other Biju. Those Biju would also be considered perfect, considering that their Jinchuriki are quite literally being forced to work beside them. That would mean that, and to keep the boring stuff taken care of, 6 tails would equal up to about 60% of 9 tails power at that point in time. 7 tails would be about 70, just for an estimate lowball. That would mean that this version of the 9 tails is equal to at least 2 perfect Jinchuriki, which, according to you, more powerful than Kakuzu has shown. But as only if you use math like that correctly.
I could easily see Kakuzu being able to blast a hole into the Chibaku Tensei and exiting it, but this is not even the most major, extremely obvious reason that nobody seems to think of, and that is that Pain is not able to sustain the Chibaku Tensei and has never been shown capable, even at full power, to be able to hold it up for any significant period of time. The reason I brought up even at full power is because many people try and argue that Pain was weakened throughout his fight with Naruto, but I don't believe this is the case because Pain was able to summon the Chibaku Tensei, and he is an Uzumaki. If Pain was truly weakened throughout the fight, I don't believe he would have been able to create the Chibaku Tensei, seen as it is by far his most chakra-consuming jutsu.
He forced the Chibaku Tensei, and even then, he's still able to fight and all that as well. But no, we can just sit there and say that the Chibaku Tensei is just so powerful as weakened body can barely handle it. And then the chakra cost that just happens to be a big bonus on top of it. And even then, he believes that he's had the fight won, which means if he can't withstand it, he wouldn't have sat there and be like, okay, I won. He might have just been like, okay, I got a moment to figure out what to do. So no, that doesn't make any sense. And there's no reason to say he wouldn't know how to use his own jutsu or the limits of his jutsu as well.
But even if you want to say Pain was weakened for whatever reason, that still does not prove Pain can hold up the Chibaku Tensei for any significant period of time. The only time we ever see him use it successfully is when he is an Edo Tensei and has an infinitely regenerating chakra, which he will not have access to in this fight. What do you mean he can't hold it up or sustain the Chibaku Tensei, Noodles? He literally captured Naruto and said he was going to make it bigger. After Naruto turned back into Sage mode, Nagato began coughing up blood and dropped the Chibaku Tensei. Konan was in fear for Nagato's health the entire fight because she was afraid Nagato would use too much chakra and die. And this is especially evident in the scene because Konan actually screams at Nagato when he starts coughing.
Yeah, right here. This actually confirms it. Stop, don't go that far. Your body can't take anymore. She's quite literally worried not about his chakra costs, but the body's physical ability to withstand what it's doing.
The Chibaku Tensei just falls apart immediately after.
Also, the reason why is because once Naruto's out of the Chibaku Tensei, he probably just didn't see a whole lot of reason to make it bigger. Since at that point in time, he does think for a whole minute that Naruto has control of the Nine Tails and would just be able to bust out with the full power of the Nine Tails, because they don't know that the Nine Tails is in half right now.
After, Pain did not have the proper chakra amount to successfully use the Chibaku Tensei, and this is all assuming Pain would even be able to leave the battlefield like he did to Naruto in order to get close to Nagato's real body. As soon as Tendo starts to leave the battlefield, Kakuzu is going to follow after him. And if it isn't already obvious, I think Kakuzu has the potency to one-shot the Path of Pain, not only because his physical attacks such as his ninjutsu and taijutsu, but also because of Pain's durability scaling below Konohamaru and base Naruto's Rasengan. Kakashi's Raikiri was able to complete.
No, he doesn't scale below Konohamaru's Rasengan. That Path of Pain just flat out survives it, because if it didn't, none of the other pains would have been able to get up again. And the Rasengan Naruto uses beat him were 2 and Sage enhanced. The Raikiri itself is just really good at piercing, and even then he doesn't die. Because not too long after this, he also takes a Shinra Tensei as well, and is still able to launch missiles and all that. Again, they're dead bodies; they don't actually die. Nagato just stops controlling them because he does see a whole lot of point of using a body that's been cut in half.
Completely tear through the Ashura Path, the same Ashura Path that jumped in front of Kakashi to save Tendo from being destroyed. I know some people out there, Swag Kage, believe the Ashura Path tanked this attack, but the Ashura Path was ripped apart and briefly survived long enough to fire a rocket at Choji, but then just died shortly after. A lot of
Again, they can't die; they're dead bodies. What?
people who say the Ashura Path tanked this attack are conflating the concepts of survivability with durability. The reason I make a distinction between these two terms is because someone can have a very good survivability, like a zombie, but also very low durability, like a zombie. A normal human can chop off a zombie's arm and it'll still keep coming forward because it's undead. Now, did that zombie just tank the axe I chopped his arm off with? Or did he survive because of his undead anatomy? He survived it. He did not tank the potency of my axe. His arm was...
Okay. This is actually true. I was talking to a friend of mine about this as well, and he disagreed with me on this. But I actually do think that this is a true point used by that Noodles is making. There's a difference between durability and survivability, and that's what pains really have going for them, is a high survivability. They don't have a low durability either. That just happens to be a good bonus, though.
Was damaged and chopped off. He merely lived through it because he doesn't need arms to survive. This zombie analogy is very relevant to the Ashura Path because he is a robot corpse. He's not human or alive. His arm...
Wait a minute. So you're acknowledging that they're alive, yet you're still saying that they die? Very suspicious.
Armor was not strong enough to stop the Raikiri from penetrating, but rather his unusual anatomy allowed him to briefly survive the encounter with Kakashi. But notice how I mentioned briefly, the Ashura Path did not survive the Raikiri. It died, and just one of Kakuzu's false darkness techniques.
He also took the Shinra Tensei, which was able to stop a bunch of chakra blasts from the Six Tails Naruto, who already calced at being more powerful than that of 2 perfect Jinchurikis. So he was able to take a attack which should be able to overpower 2 perfect Jinchurikis at the same time. At least if we go off that scale of logic, which you tend to do. So
was able to stalemate 2 of Kakashi's Raikiri. So I think it is more than safe to assume Kakuzu's base jutsu is strong enough to one-shot the Paths of Pain, and this is just ignoring the fact he can combine his natures to make them even more amplified.
Heat-On is able to survive without being too badly scratched up either. He also states to Kakuzu later, like, hey, you're not able to kill me. Again, I'll go over that more in depth when I do my video, but that would show that no combination of these jutsus are enough to kill Heat-On. Maybe if he ripped out Heat-On's hearts, maybe that's a thing that he could do to take him out, but that would just be directly ripping out someone's heart, and I don't know if a whole lot of ninjas, except unironically Pain, would survive that.
Fight in power. There's another reason the Ashura Path jumped in between Kakashi and Tendo, and it's literally because Pain knew that he could be destroyed if the Raikiri connected with him. In short, the Raikiri literally damaged...
Yeah, but the Raikiri damages almost everything it hits, except very few people. So it's like when people sit there and tell you, well, Kakuzu lost to the Rasen Shuriken. And you sit there and go, well, yes, but anyone who got hit with the Rasen Shuriken would have died. This is true here. We watch it happen with Kakuzu as well, so we can't even speculate. Yeah, if the Rasen Shuriken hit him, he would die. Chidori hits Kakuzu, he dies. It happens. It happens here. I don't know what else to say.
And killed the Ashura path. Kakuzu's ninjutsu is capable of stalemating 2 of Kakashi's Raikiri and staying in the data book to be.
I don't believe that it stalemated 2. I think he just needs a 2 in order to increase the range of protection that who's going to protect Shikamaru and Choji. He probably could have protected himself with just one if it was just him.
Equal in power to those 2 Raikiri as well, meaning Kakuzu's ninjutsu is twice as powerful as a singular Raikiri that can kill the pads of pain. This proves Kakuzu has the attack potency to one-shot all of the.
I don't necessarily think the Chidori just necessarily flat out has the attack potency to do that. I think it has a great piercing capability, which would help make the pains unable to move around. So again, they're already dead. The Chidori doesn't kill them. It just makes it so that it's not really worth moving them around. The fact that he had Asura jump in front of Deva wasn't to stop him from dying, but it makes so that Deva didn't become immovable. Like you said, survivability, durability, different.
If that hasn't already been made clear enough. Well, what about skill? Surely Pain has more intelligence or taijutsu skill to beat Kakuzu. Wrong. Kakuzu's
intelligence, probably not. Taijutsu skills, maybe.
Intelligence is actually one of his best attributes, as he was quite literally able to instantly analyze and defeat a premeditated plan from both Shikamaru and Kakashi, who are quite literally the best battle strategists in the Leaf Village, besides maybe Shukaku. Pain was actually scared to go near Kakashi's unconscious.
He wasn't scared, he was just cautious. The man he's known to have over 100 jutsus, and he has a Sharingan, which is good with like Genjutsu and all that. And even then, he's a master strategist. He was a part of at least one of the wars. So to sit there and say, "Oh, he was scared," like no, he probably was cautious about anything that he could have like had up on the side, or like some sort of side plan or contingency in case something happened.
His body.
And if anything, this shows that Pain is also very cautious and understanding of the people who he's fighting. So if he were to fight Kakuzu, he'd probably just be like, okay, this man's part of my Akatsuki for a reason. Let me take him seriously and go just full out right away.
Because he knew how crafty Kakashi was. Wait a minute. What about Naruto being able to fool Kakuzu with his shadow clones? Oh yeah, Naruto's shadow clones did fool Kakuzu. You know who else Naruto fooled with his shadow clones? He fooled Pain.
He also needed a smoke bomb and multiple transformations and a bunch of toads in order to do that as well. Later on, we see that even a weakened Pain, without those factors put in place, Naruto transforms from a bunch of rubble. Even then, Pain's able to counter that trick. So,
multiple times during the fight. He also fooled Zabuza, Neji, Sasuke. He fooled Kakashi, Obito, and Kaguya. Kaguya has the Rin Sharingan, which has all of the abilities of the Mangekyo, but to an even greater extent. It's stated in the second data book that the Mangekyo Sharingan can see the past, present, and future, and it's stated to be clairvoyance. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean Kaguya can see all of time, but it does mean she can see briefly into the past or the future. Despite being able to quite literally see into the future, Naruto.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Somehow, that statement specifically is meant to be taken literally. That one. But the idea that Kakuzu has no blind spots, for some reason, that's not to be taken literally. I really need to know what exactly makes it so you know what is and isn't to be taken literally. Is it what's convenient to you? Is there some sort of second thing that I'm just not understanding? Is it the wording? What is it? What's making you decide what is and isn't to be taken literally?
Naruto still managed to catch her off guard with his sexy jutsu.
Well,
he fooled basically every single enemy ninja he has ever encountered with some type of shadow clone trickery, and was said on numerous occasions to be the most unpredictable ninja ever. Naruto fooling Kakuzu is not an anti-feat, because Naruto is so unpredictable, even someone like Kakuzu, who can instantly analyze how strong someone is just by looking at them and defeat premeditated plans from Shikamaru and Kakashi, is unable to pinpoint which Naruto is real and which Naruto is fake.
The Kakashi one's impressive, like I've said in the past. he already had a good idea what Shikamaru was capable of doing when he fought him. Shikamaru had no idea about him, so
This is literally Naruto's whole fighting style. So for the people that think him fooling Kakuzu is an anti-feat for his intelligence, that's dumb. Because then you'd also have to argue Pain has an anti-feat as well.
we're
Because
9 minutes. Oh, I broke it. Broke reality.
he also gets caught
There we go.
by Shadow Clone Naruto and expanding Rasen Shurikens from Naruto as well. Kakashi also managed to fool Pain with a lightning clone, and he is much less unpredictable than Naruto. Another thing worth mentioning is that when Kakuzu got caught off guard the second time by Naruto, literally every
That should speak to Pain's speed and reactive capabilities anyway, though. Even if we sit there and say, yes, all those times he got caught off guard, none of those points did he ever die. So that's impressive.
everyone there was insanely impressed with how good Naruto's plan was executed. Kakashi literally says after that moment that Naruto had surpassed him. As for skill difference, Pain was unable to tag base Naruto and Taijutsu, whereas Kakuzu was able to tag Ninetales and Naruto multiple times and was also able to outskill Kakashi. There's also a statement in the fourth data book that Kakuzu is actually really good at fighting groups of people, plus all the trickery he can pull with his tendrils, and burrowing, he can attack from range, jump massively in the air, and even dig beneath his opponents. Well, what happens when Pain uses Almighty Pull and sucks Kakuzu in for a Soul Steal? What would require Pain to even be able to pull Kakuzu in? We've seen with Naruto, he was able to dig his tails into the ground and completely resist Pain's Shinra Tensei. And as we've seen with Kakuzu, he can use his tendrils to dig into the ground as well, and he has even better physical strength than both Naruto and the chaotic Shinra Tensei.
No, that's not true. There's no way that you can sit there and convince me that Kakuzu's tentacles are more powerful than two perfect Jinchuriki. The Rasen Shuriken itself, by getting hit, because remember, the Rasen Shuriken itself doesn't necessarily have a moving forward speed. Naruto just hits him with it and lets go of the Rasen Shuriken, and it sends the hit's able to send him and Kakuzu flying with the Rasen Shuriken. That means Naruto was physically enough to rip Kakuzu out of the ground without his tail beast and with only his Rasen Shuriken, which would mean that Sage Mode Naruto isn't even required in order to rip Kakuzu's tendrils out of the ground. That was a mouthful.
So I don't even believe the Almighty Pull will work to begin with. But let's just be charitable for the sake of the Pain fans out there. Let's say Kakuzu does get pulled in by the Shinra Tensei. Congratulations. Pain has now just pulled in a melee-based fighter that is more intelligent, more powerful, and skilled in taijutsu than him.
You never establish any of those things.
So strong, in fact, that he has the capability of one-shotting him, and he's also severely faster than him in combat speed due to being able to beat Ninetales Chakra Naruto and Taijutsu.
If anything, we've established the opposite.
And being able to block Yugito's paw. And he has the durability that's strong enough to withstand every physical attack that Pain has in his arsenal. So you're going to suck that dude in and try and steal his soul or brawl with him. Wait a minute, Noodles. You said earlier that Pain reacted to a Sage Naruto kick, which is faster than KCM Naruto. Shouldn't Pain be able to contend with Kakuzu since they both scale to KCM Naruto? No, this is all assuming that Naruto remains stagnant in both the Pain arc and War arc Jinchuriki versus Jinchuriki battle. Naruto has did both training and fought multiple Kage and Kage level opponents at this point, on top of the fact he is constantly getting more skilled at controlling chakra. This is shown during his training with Killer B, where he initially struggles to stack blocks with his cloak arms, but later can stack them very proficiently. He also, in the beginning of his training, launches himself into walls, but later adjusts and never does it again. Point is, Naruto got better on both speed, experience, and chakra control, which also factors in speed due to people being able to manipulate chakra into his legs to run faster. Another thing to consider about
this is fine. Again, Pain was so much more powerful than Naruto that he needed lots of help, including help from the Ninetales in order to beat Pain. Even then, he barely won. So Pain was already massively more powerful than Naruto anyway. So even if Naruto got more powerful, this just means that maybe now he can go one-on-one with Pain and maybe have a chance of winning. Not even a guaranteed win.
About the training is that Naruto has already shown to be more talented than Kakashi. Naruto is able to manipulate far more chakra than Kakashi, and was even able to create the Rasen Shuriken by adding the wind nature transformation. Kakashi himself had actually tried to add lightning release to the Rasengan, but had failed and created the Chidori.
1 second. I need to stop moving around.
This means
We're
that
back.
Kakashi was not skillful or as talented as Naruto in chakra manipulation. After Naruto successfully destroys and incapacitates Kakuzu with an incomplete Rasen Shuriken, Kakashi claims that Naruto has surpassed him. This idea is also supported in the data book, which says that the Rasen Shuriken is the highest level of shape manipulation. The reason I am proving that Naruto is more talented than Kakashi, as if that isn't obvious, is because Kakashi, in the same time frame of the pain fight to the beginning of the war arc, gained a massive amplification. Kakashi went from only being able to use a limited number of Kamuis during the pain fight to spamming Chidori's and Kamui and Shadow Clones and many other high chakra costing jutsu during the war arc fights. This means that Naruto would have become even stronger and faster than Kakashi did during the war.
No, not necessarily. Being more talented doesn't mean you're always just going to gain massively more powerful than that of other people. Naruto is trying to learn how to control his the Nine Tails, while Kakashi would have been focusing on his base and all that. So realistically, even all things granted, we could say Naruto's. You could argue Naruto's base is the same, while Kakashi's base is now massively higher.
Naruto just also outright says that he is stronger when he fought Pain during the Nagato and Itachi.
That could be talking about the fact that he can now use KCM. And not only that, again, Pain was already massively more powerful than Naruto anyway, so this would just mean that maybe now he's relative. Which can be shown with the fact that he's fighting Nagato, and Nagato is still able to fight him, react to him with absolutely no problems. Nagato controlling Pain, so anything Nagato react to, Pain should be able to as well.
Encounter, which proves he is not the same level he used to be. So yeah, no real reason to consider Pain, KCM, Naruto level and speed. I tried. There is another reason this argument fails, and that's quite literally because David Path failed to tag Naruto a singular time in Taijutsu and had all of his attacks blocked.
Right there. Okay, I don't know why it took 40 minutes for us to get to it, but kudos to you, I guess. That was anime only. If you go with the manga, at no point does Pain actually try to go just laid out taijutsu in this direct way.
Versus only reacting to the initial Sage Kick from Naruto, plus all of the other instances of Sage Naruto bodying Pain. Wait a minute, didn't Pain stab and pin Sage Naruto with a chakra rod? No, he didn't. That Naruto was in base, as shown here, and that Naruto was distracted and manipulated by Paw's lifeless body being thrown at him, and Naruto caught him out of instinct rather than defending himself. This was actually the only big brain play that Pain made during the entire fight, but unfortunately for him, trying to play on Kakuzu's morality is not going to work. To add on to the Soul Steal point a bit, I don't think this ability is very good when Pain is using it, but it's pretty good for Nagato. I'll explain why I'm differentiating a bit. The reason Pain's Soul Steal is bad is because the only people we saw it work on were some random ninja and Shizune, neither of which are anywhere close to the strength Kakuzu possesses. Every time we have ever seen someone resist,
that's more just opportunity than anything else.
In a soul-stealing technique in Naruto, it has been due to the strength they possess. The Rinnegan Soul Steal was actually proven to be resistible through strength by Naruto, as he managed to use his chakra cloak arms to quite literally reach out and pull his soul back into his body. Wait a minute, Noodles.
My life force, no way. I'm getting weak, not good. This actually straight out just shows that Naruto is actually weakened, getting weakened and all that. It's actually implied that had B not came in to help, not B and Itachi had not come on to help, Nagato probably would have gotten his soul, and then he probably would have went to take B's soul. Kabuto is actually excited about the idea of having both not the 8 tails and 9 tails for his army for the war, so more likely would have worked. Anyway.
Noodles, Kakuzu doesn't have a chakra cloak or chakra arms, so there's no way for him to stop his soul from being ripped out. Wrong. Orochimaru literally resisted Hiruzen from pulling his soul
That's
out
a different jutsu.
Due to his sheer strength and willpower. No chakra arms needed. So I believe it's easy.
Yeah, again, different jutsu, and not only that, but Orochimaru also, not Orochimaru, Hiruzen also had a sword in his back, which also kind of weakened him, and he was an old man who was massively weakened and near dying. So there's a lot of factors that went into that anyway, even ignore the fact that it was a different jutsu.
Easily possible for a stronger than a Biju Kakuzu to be able to resist the Soul Steal, which has only worked on weak characters like Shizune. Another interesting argument is that Kakuzu's forbidden jutsu, the Earth Grudge Sphere, has multiple ninjas' hearts containing their own chakra nature. Kakuzu was going to replace his lightning hearts with Kakashi due to it being a powerful heart. The hearts also are able to be autonomous from Kakuzu and capable of their own decision-making. Basically, what this means is that they have their own hearts and their own chakra, therefore their own spirit and their own mind. If Pain were to rip a spirit from his body, there is the possibility that he would have to soul rip Kakuzu 6 times before he actually kills him. The reason why Nagato's Soul Steal is good is because he made KCM1 Naruto struggle a lot to pull it back in. So that means Nagato's Soul Steal is somewhat comparable to KCM1 Naruto, which puts him...
It's actually would make him above. It would be above KCM1 Naruto if it was able to beat him.
Above a lot of characters. The only other path of Pain that I think plays any major factor is the Ashura path, but unfortunately for him, he's much slower than Kakuzu, and I don't see any reason why Kakuzu couldn't just slice him open with his tentacle.
But why is he much faster than him? Why is he much slower than Kakuzu? You're not explaining that. You're just declaring it. I know you went over your scaling earlier, but your scaling didn't exactly... One, it wasn't fair. And even then, it wasn't... Like... It was like, again, you yourself don't necessarily believe that all the paths of pain scale relative to each other. You do believe the Deva scales higher with their ability. So again, like, how are you getting Kakuzu just above everyone? I have a lot of questions here.
Pinnacle, or just beat him up
Hello,
with taijutsu.
third person.
And as soon as Kakuzu recognizes that he is absorbing the ninjutsu, he will begin to use taijutsu against...
Another thing, for some reason, a lot of people don't like to think about this or talk about it. That path can also just grab onto people and just absorb the chakra right out of people. Again, he does this to Sage Naruto and rips them right out of Sage mode, so he can just take all the chakra from Kakuzu.
Him, or just rain down artillery fire from all directions with his hearts, like he did against Kakashi. The reason this would work is none of the paths of pains have the skills or capability to damage Kakuzu when he is in close range, and there's nothing stopping him from releasing all 5 of his hearts, who can quite literally fly around the entire battlefield, artillery firing off Biju and double Raikiri level ninjutsu in all directions of the paths of pain. I know I said earlier that Preta Path absorbs ninjutsu into a bottomless swamp, but this is actually wrong for a few reasons. One of which being that the Preta Path absorbs Naruto's chakra. Naruto actually gives him Sage chakra, which transmutes him into a toad. This means...
That's just because you have to balance the chakra in order to not get the effects of transforming or your form being corrupted. That path of pain just took in so much Sage chakra that he just corrupted and died.
Means that the chakra the Preta Path absorbed is not being absorbed into a bottomless swamp, but rather inside of the Preta Path itself. And if you do want to still claim that Naruto's chakra went to this supposed bottomless swamp, another debunk to this is that Madara absorbed Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, and he claimed that it possessed too much energy.
Again, I talked about this with one of my friends. I told him that this isn't just him saying that the Rasen Shuriken had that much chakra in it. It's more Madara talking down to Naruto. Madara is an old man. He's also extremely smart as well. So it's more just him sitting there telling Naruto, hey, you're putting too much chakra into your jutsu, so you need to calm down. It's also backed up with the fact that we know that Naruto has bad chakra control and generally does that. He throws a massive amount of chakra into his jutsu to compensate.
Implying that Madara had momentarily been overwhelmed from the amount of energy. So unless you think that Naruto was infusing an infinite amount of chakra into his Rasen Shuriken at that very moment, that proves the...
Why would it have to be an infinite amount? Again, like I just said, it was probably just Madara talking now to Naruto, telling him he needs to stop wasting chakra.
Absorption is not bottomless or limitless. Even if you want to claim the Preta Path could absorb Kakuzu's ninjutsu, that still will not save him. All of the paths of pain would have to form a conga line behind the Preta Path, and that still leaves the rear and underground open for any of the hearts to attack from, and nothing stops Kakuzu from walking up to the Ashura path like a villain and beating the dog shit out of him. So in summary, the paths of pains are relative to Kakashi and base Naruto in speed. Kakuzu is relative to KCM Naruto in combat speed, or at the very least, a whole blitz level above Kakashi and Ninetales Amp Naruto.
Okay, one more time.
Beating the dog shit out of him. So in summary, the paths of pains are relative to Kakashi and base Naruto in speed.
No, they're not. They're able to react to Sage and Naruto and all that. They dodge him and everything. Again, and they were at a weakened point at that point, and they just got done destroying the entire village and all that. Once again, that top, they should be able to react to what Nagato can react to. Again, Nagato quite literally is controlling them. and he can react to KCM Naruto, so they should be able to as well at their peak.
Speed. Kakuzu is relative to KCM Naruto in combat speed, or at the very least, a whole blitz level above Kakashi and Ninetales Amp Naruto.
See, we got this backwards somehow. No, Kakuzu would be the one that's on the par with base Naruto and Kakashi, and Pain should be on the KCM level of this. I don't know how we got this backwards.
The Preda Path has no way to stop Kakuzu from destroying him with Taijutsu, nor the artillery fire from all directions. The Ashura Path only has physical attacks that have been shown capable of piercing Kakashi, who is vastly less durable than Kakuzu due to the Biju scaling. The Human Path would also get destroyed in Taijutsu or long range from the Kakuzu's tentacles or Heart Jutsu, and he probably won't even be able to Soul Rip him. The Naraka Path can summon the King of Hell, but it literally gets bodied by some random ninja in a kunai during the war. So Kakuzu would...
That's Itachi. What? It's not a random ninja. What are we talking about here?
Likely just one-shot him. And the Naraka Path will be able to heal the other paths of pain, but as soon as Kakuzu sees him do that, even if he gets to do it, Kakuzu would then destroy it immediately due to his analytical ability.
Why would Pain let him do it?
The Animal Path just summons giant monsters that Kakuzu could easily body just like Sage Naruto did. Kakuzu is stronger than Biju, which are bigger and scarier and more powerful.
Naruto had the tailed beast, not the tailed beast, the toads help fight off the summonings for a bit. And he even had to help slow them down. And even then, he didn't body the summonings. He was just able to get him to be de-summoned by taking out the summoning path, which he had to perform a lot of tricks in order to take out.
Powerful than all of the animal summonings combined, and he could quite literally one-shot the Animal Path with his Taijutsu or Ninjutsu. And finally, the Deva Path with the almighty push and pull have no effect on Kakuzu due to him being able to plant himself in the ground with his tendrils, and even if he does pull Kakuzu in, that literally would put Pain in a worse position. None of Tendo's Taijutsu or physical attacks can damage Kakuzu, much like the other paths of Pain. This includes the Chakra Rods, which have only been shown capable of piercing the likes of base Naruto.
They were also able to pierce the Six Tails as well. 1 second. Sorry about that, people. It feels like every single time I go to record, there's always something distracting me. Anyway, let's continue this.
And would not be able to pierce something as hard as Kakuzu's diamond armor. And for some reason, people think that these chakra rods are truth-seeking orbs and are unbreakable. Or here's Pain and Naruto literally breaking chakra rods.
I don't necessarily think they're unbreakable, but I do think they have a high piercing capability. And just because they can be broken in one direction doesn't mean that they can't attack stuff that are higher than that level as well.
So yeah, no reason Kakuzu couldn't do that. A few things I forgot to mention is that Sage Naruto directly says that Pain is unable to harm him, so this furthers the idea that Pain does not scale to Sage Naruto. And another feat that's worth talking about is the Shenron Tensei.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I'll get into that again more when I go into this topic myself, but I think that's more just because Naruto knows that Pain isn't trying to kill him, and any of the attacks that would be on that level that would be able to hurt someone like Sage, a Sage user, would be something that would kill them. Also, that Pain was massively weakened at that point.
Naruto threw. I don't think this feat is very good because it's actually just Pain interacting with the Rasen Shuriken's durability, not the Rasen Shuriken's attack potency. So trying to scale the Rasen Shuriken's durability to its AP doesn't make.
If the Rasen Shuriken was more powerful than the Shinron Tensei, then the attack would have just gone through it because it would have just overpowered it.
Makes sense, especially when it hasn't exploded yet, and especially considering it is an explosive. So, like, even if you fired an RPG through a window and it caught a shard of glass, that could potentially make it explode. So, think of that as the Rasen Shuriken. It's this highly volatile, explosive projectile.
If that was true, then the Rasen Shuriken would have exploded, then the explosion would have overpowered the Shinron Tensei.
That when it encounters this gravity wave blows up or dispels or whatever. It doesn't prove that the Rasen Shuriken's AP and the Shinron Tensei's AP are equal. But yeah, that about sums up all the reasons why I think Kakuzu obliterates Pain 10 out of 10 times. And I know most of you already knew the outcome of the video before even watching it, knowing how public my stance has been on this topic. But I do want to say that my arguments are well researched and they are unbiased and taking into account all of Pain's feats and statements. Wait, Noodles, you weren't fair. Kishimoto's intent is obviously displaying that Pain was meant to be narratively stronger than Kakuzu. Wrong. There are a plethora of issues.
Okay, a lot of this is just extra over the top, so I'm trying to figure out if I should actually go through them. Yeah, might as well.
I take with the stance. First being that Kishimoto's intention at all being knowable. We do not know what was going inside Kishimoto's head or what he intended to be stronger. We have no idea what his intentions were. You have no.
We have a general good idea depending on what's shown and how people react, characters and all that react in the side notes that are in the manga that for some reason you refuse to acknowledge. Also, the data books also try to hype up Pain as most powerful as well. So, no, we have a general idea.
No idea if he intended Pain to be stronger or not. You cannot read his thoughts because you are not inside of his mind during the time he was writing these chapters. Many of the Akatsuki's narratives, including Kakuzu, actually had to be cut down due to the studio rushing Kishimoto along. Not only this, but the narrative does indicate that Kakuzu is stronger. To explain what I mean, I must define a narrative. A narrative is simply the story or narrative that is being told. Power scaling is reading a story or narrative and finding all of the statements or feat within said narrative that relate to a character's speed, abilities, or power, and compiling these pieces of evidence together to measure who would win in a versus match. When you analyze a narrative, you're studying the story. Power scaling is narrative analysis of the speed and power and abilities within that story. So when I say that Kakuzu's feats and statements indicate that he's more powerful, I am claiming the narrative makes Kakuzu more powerful. The narrative is what is giving me the evidence to say Kakuzu wins. I'm not pulling these feats and statements from something outside of the narrative. Not only this, but there is actual blatant evidence.
No, but unfortunately, and I say this with the utmost respect to you, Noodles, you are misinterpreting what is being said and how stuff is going and all that.
Evidence that Kishimoto intended for Kakuzu to be a threat.
For those of you who don't like Noodles who are saying, why do I say that with most respects? I try to stay out of drama and all that. Quite frankly, Noodles has given me no reason not to like him, along with like Seth and that, who again have drama as well, but I tend to try to ignore it because it's not my business.
Pain.
Yes, I just justified myself. Come at me.
Capturing Naruto will not be easy, and the reason he gives is because Naruto destroyed 2 of Kakuzu's hearts. Obito believes that Naruto will be a tough fight for Pain because of his capability to destroy just 2 of Kakuzu's hearts.
But he does think it's possible for him to beat him, so that's something to keep into account.
Conan responds to this and says, "Save us from your warnings and fears. Pain is invincible." This is a pretty typical response for Conan, but she's consistently meat-riding Pain whenever she can. But it does show us that Obito was fearful of Naruto because of his new jutsu and because he destroyed 2 of Kakuzu's hearts. There's also another statement in the lead up to Naruto's fight with Kakuzu that directly states he's one of the Akatsuki's deadliest members. So that alone should tell you how Kishimoto viewed Kakuzu. The only narrative arguments that I hear people make are the constant comparisons between Pain to a god and Pain being repeatedly stated to be invincible. But we know the latter is not true because Pain literally died and got one-tapped by base Rasengans, and Obito even makes fun of this moniker of Pain after struggling to defeat Jiraiya.
That's just your interpretation.
Here you can see Obito mocking Pain for supposedly being invincible, yet he had his hands full with Jiraiya. Most of Pain's narrative statements are just hype, just like Minato fanboys that write on how cool and how hype he is. If you base a character's power on hype, you are biased. If someone says, "I am a god," sure, that makes them sound cool, but does that actually affect their power scaling whatsoever? No, it doesn't. Hype in no way establishes power or makes someone stronger. Was Pain a more pivotal and more important villain than Kakuzu? Yes, absolutely he was, but does that mean he's stronger? No, it doesn't. Another narrative argument I've seen people make is the statement that comes in one of Pain's databook entries, where it is said that even the notoriously strong members of the Akatsuki obey him because of both his power that no one can deny and his charisma. This does not mean they obey him because he is stronger than them. This means they obey him because they respect his power and cannot deny he has power. And they also follow him because of how charismatic he is as well.
It's a combination of the two, so power is definitely a huge factor within it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be said.
Kakuzu could totally acknowledge Pain as strong and follow him because he both respects his power and likes the idea of getting money. In fact, that is exactly why I think Kakuzu follows Pain. The final argument I hear people make all the time.
But there's more money to be made in turning in the Akatsuki members, / and or just taking over the group himself.
Time is base Naruto beat Kakuzu with no prep time, and even with Sage Mode and Intel on Pain, he still lost to him. This is a classic case of rock, paper, scissors in power scaling. The only reason Naruto lost to Pain was because he fell out of Sage Mode. Sage Mode Naruto was vastly superior to Pain, so really Pain is only scaling to base Naruto. Secondly, it was not base Naruto that fought Kakuzu.
If that was true, he wouldn't have been able to outlast Sage Naruto 3 times and then rip him out of it the one time as well.
Here's the official Shueisha-colored manga of Naruto where you can clearly see he has red slit eyes. This scene was just improperly animated in the anime, but even in the anime you can clearly see he still has the slit eyes.
That's fine, that would still be less than 6 tells Naruto, who even a massively fatigued Pain was able to fight.
The anime, for some reason, just didn't make them red. If you're one of those people that think the anime doesn't make mistakes, here's the first anime appearance of the Rinnegan. Enough said. This means that both
in the manga, he doesn't even have the Rinnegan.
Kakuzu and Pain fought an amplified Naruto. The reason I believe Naruto can beat Kakuzu but Pain cannot is because Pain does not have the capability to fool or damage Kakuzu like Naruto does. Pain does not have a Rasen Shuriken, nor does Pain have the unpredictability of Naruto. The Rasen...
I think Pain has the unpredictability of Naruto. That's how he beat Jiraiya, by being unpredictable up until the end. He was able to keep all of his secrets away from him.
Shuriken is actually much less useful against Pain because he has multiple bodies that Naruto has to destroy, and those bodies can be resurrected as well. So Naruto...
except for the fact that the Rasen Shuriken wasn't what helped him win that fight. Took out like one Pain, and that's about it.
Has multiple targets and a limited use of the Rasen Shurikens in Sage Mode. But when he fought Kakuzu, he had already been damaged to the point he lost his Earth and Water Heart, which gives him his primary defense, the Diamond Armor, and Naruto hit him with the Jutsu.
He actually hadn't lost the Earth one. If you go back and look at the data book, it actually says... One second. I got this actually on my phone. I am somewhat ready for this. Here we go. By changing the length and form of the tentacles at will, Kakuzu is able to control many different situations. Once Earth, Grudge, and Fear are invoked, Kakuzu has no blind spots. It's referring to the state in which Kakuzu takes within that fight. So that means he still has his Earth mask, which means he should still be able to use Diamond Morph. He just wasn't able to activate in time to stop the One-Star Rasen Shuriken, or wasn't strong enough to withstand the One-Star Rasen Shuriken as well.
Jutsu that was stated in the third data book to be the highest level of shape manipulation, and it stated that nobody can withstand its impact. Nobody can withstand it. This includes Pain, who was bisected by it. The Rasen Shuriken also bypasses durability, as stated by Tsunade in the Autopsy of Kakuzu. The Rasen Shuriken attacks both his cells and chakra network directly and functions more like a poison rather than physical trauma. This means that the Rasen Shuriken functions on such a minute level that it attacks the vital points directly, which is also stated in the third data book entry of the Rasen Shuriken. Another thing I want to point out is that if Naruto had the durability of Kakuzu, he could have went into the Leaf Village completely invulnerable, just like Kakuzu would be. He would have bodied Pain, just like he did in Sage Mode when he was invulnerable to Pain. Kakuzu is a good matchup against Pain because he can resist all of his attacks.
Not really. Again, if we take the idea that Nagato on Pain can't hurt Sage Mode Naruto, that means even somebody who Pain can't hurt, he can just rip out the chakra out of and then make them vulnerable.
Can one-shot him. Naruto in base can't do that, but he is a good matchup against Kakuzu because he can catch him off guard with Shadow Clones and hurt him with the Rasen Shuriken, and Pain is a good matchup against Naruto because he has a...
Nagato could catch Pain, and Nagato could catch Kakuzu off guard with summonings, then grab onto and rip out all his chakra, making him vulnerable to everything else.
A lot of range jutsu and mini bodies to keep tanking Rasen Shurikens until Naruto runs out of Sage Chakra. Rock, paper, scissors. This isn't Dragon Ball where scaling is always just a singular linear line. Naruto characters are very complex with the amount of jutsu they can use and what abilities will play a factor in a fight. That's fair. This just happens to be one of those weird ones where all three of these characters can beat each other. But yeah, that about does it for the video, guys.
Okay, that's it. That's it for now. Like I said at the beginning of this, we are very close to 100 subscribers. We're at 98. If we get to 100, I will do a Q&A when I get a free chance. As a thank you to everyone who's been here and loyal to me, especially with the fact that I've been inconsistent. This will be Ken Rock signing out. I hope you all have a good day.